This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas. Magazine publisher and entrepreneur Judith Mancini is sharing captivating conversations with experts in their field about the latest trends in our ever-changing world to help you become healthy, wealthy, and wise. Judith Mancini Today will spark your interest and inspire you to lead your best life ever. And now, here's Judith.
Judith Mancini Today is sponsored by Basic Brands, Inc., providing the highest quality specialty products in the natural food industry. Visit basicbrandsinc.com and enter JMT15 for a 15% discount on your first order, including their best-selling Vitamin E ointment, which helps restore moisture and elasticity to your skin. I found a new product with them, and I have given it to my husband because with all the computer work we all do all the time, our eyes get dry. And the nice thing about this is it's all natural and it helps. I put him on this, and within a week, his eyes weren't as dry as they were. So he's continuing to take it, and it's called Dry Eye Formula. And the basis of it is fish oil, all natural fish oil, anchovy, sardine, and something else. Let me see what it is. Anchovy, sardine, and mackerel. So you could almost eat it and get some benefits from it. But what you're doing is swallowing it. Okay, grab some of that from them. All right, today I want to go over a few things in the news. The first thing I want to talk about for just a minute, this is the part of my tagline for Judith Mancini Today and for my coming soon show and webpage, Golden Years, Golden Fears. I want to do the healthy, wealthy, and wise. And the wise part, as I tell you, is always stay informed. So I don't know where you get your news, if you get it on television, if you get it on your laptop or your phone from, I hope not just from Facebook and TikTok, but I hope you go to regular news sites and do that. And there's some sad news today. Number one, I think it's sad that Brittany Griner, who was playing basketball on a women's team. Now, Brittany Griner is transgender, and she was birthed as a male, and she transformed into a woman and plays on a women's sports team. And she was in Russia, and you're given all the do's and don'ts while you're going to these foreign countries, particularly the communistic countries, and where there could be dangerous things going on. So she knew she was not supposed to take any drugs, including things like marijuana, hemp, anything like that, CBD oil, including vapes. But she did, and she was caught when she was trying to come home. Now she claims she used it for pain control, and she very well could have, because we know that that does help, but it's not allowed in that country. And it's not allowed in some of our states. But she was put on trial and found guilty and sent out to what we would call a work camp prison. And they have been trying to bring her back. Well, she was released and she did come home today. What I have a problem with this is two things. Number one, I don't think biological born males should play on women's sports teams. But the bigger question here is, why would you go against a foreign country's laws knowingly? She did know she had the vape. She can't say she forgot she had it because she'd been using it. And the problem I have with all of this is here she comes. Notice I'm using her chosen pronoun, she. And don't get me wrong, you can do whatever you want to do to your own body as far as I'm concerned. It's not my decision. I don't like it when it affects other people. We have left a Marine. Do you remember their slogan, "No man left behind"? Well, he's over there in prison. And he's accused of spying, which of course he wasn't doing. They don't send Marines into a communist country like this to be spying. I don't know why he was there. I don't know the whole story, but his family has been very gracious about it all. But why didn't we bring him home? We have the weakest president ever. How they manipulate him and he lets it happen not only shows him as a weak person, but he shows our country as a weak country. So that's all I'm going to say on that because it really gets me hot under the collarless dress. The other thing I want to talk about is a couple things that hit the news. Kirstie Alley passed away a couple days ago. And why I bring her up is she had an interesting life, and she was always a very gracious person and a kind person and a funny person and a successful person until her programs were canceled. But part of my show is always talking about people who turn their lives around again, or who are striving to do something different in their career or their life that they've always dreamed about. And after her shows were canceled, she took a crew into her home with her kids and some of her friends, and she did a show, and I would watch it. I don't watch a lot of television, but I do for things that might interest me about my business or might help me in my personal life. She was so strong, and she turned her life around and her career around again. And she had that show that I learned a lot from about being kind and forgiving and raising your kids and loving your kids. And so Kirstie will be very missed. And I don't often talk about celebrities, but she's one that deserves many accolades and brought much happiness to so many of us. The other one is Celine Dion has been officially diagnosed with something that has been making her nerves and joints and everything move when they shouldn't be moving. And so she has canceled her European tour again. But she said she wants everybody to be assured she's okay. This is not a life-threatening problem, but I wanted you to know that because here's another woman who has been highly successful and had a lot of help along the way, but she's never forgotten anybody who helped her. So best wishes to her in her career too, and in entertaining all of us. So those are my showbiz things, but I want to speak to Ted Cruz and his family. They're going through a terrible time. And the reason I say this is because many of you know that I lost my son last year, not this year, but a year ago this year, the week before Thanksgiving. And he had two wonderful kids and a wife, and he took his own life. And apparently Ted Cruz's eldest daughter, who is 14, it came out as being trans or bi. I don't know because it's their business, not mine. But apparently she decided to perhaps take her life. Unfortunately, she was rushed to the hospital and she's recovering. And I do believe she has put a statement out there. I don't know. But what I want to say about this is always I say this. the suicide rates in this country are skyrocketing, especially amongst the young who were locked up for 2 years, not seeing their friends. And when they did, the schools were still teaching. I have no idea what they were teaching on the computers when they were doing remote learning, but that it's okay to have operations and change your sex. And they were encouraging it and all. And I really think that this is wrong. This is not something that young children, and I consider teenagers young children, they shouldn't be encouraged to do this. And the suicide rate, particularly amongst girls, is very high for teenagers. And as they get older, the numbers go up for young men too. We've lost a lot of young men to the COVID problem of the heart with the vaccine. We're losing them to suicide, and we're losing our military personnel to suicide, our vets to suicide, and now we've lost 3 Border Patrol people to suicide. So we're going to put up on our Cryon, that's the little thing that goes across the screen here. 988 is the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. That's for you if you are so depressed or so anxious, you feel like you want to end it all. I urge you and beg you, call 988. It's a nationwide number now. They've made it much more simple to get help on the phone. And if you have a loved one, they welcome your call too and will help you as much as they can. So that again is 988. And if you're a teenager or a young adult or an adult, there is a trans lifeline now. And they specialize in that when you're having emotional problems, depression, anxiety, whatever it is. If you feel like it's time to end it all, it isn't. God loves everyone, and they're all children of God. You call that Trans Lifeline 877-565-8860. All right, that's my sad news for the day. It just gets me so sad with all of this going on, and we must stop it, and we must be more concerned and helpful for people who are that depressed. Here's another thing I want to tell you on a happy note. My daughter and I are having just a horrible time having lost my son. And we barely talk about it because she has very young children, and it's difficult to talk in front of them. They don't understand why their favorite uncle is no longer coming around. So there are books out there to read about that and all, but everybody's experience is different. So I think I told you on one of my shows, we went to Mexico as a family. She and her husband and 2 kids took my husband and me, grandma and grandpa, grandma mama and grandpa papa. My oldest grandson named us the mama and the papa. So we went to Mexico and we spent 10 days together, and that was helpful. But what I want to tell you is what really helped me. I took a year to grieve. And that's how you used to grieve in the United States, in Europe, and other countries and all. You would give yourself a year of mourning, a year of thinking. Way back in the day, the widows would wear black, or the widowers would wear black. They might put a black wreath on their door. They might wear a black ribbon or something like that. I gave myself a year. I haven't stopped grieving, don't get me wrong. But I stayed home a lot and contemplated life and what everything was, and tried to work on my show. And maybe it's boring to all of you, but it helps me, and I hope it helps you. And I worked on myself, and I'm glad I did that. And the other day, I hadn't been going out to lunch with girlfriends. I have a couple that did call me all the time, and I told most of my friends I couldn't talk. So the other day, one of my very dearest friends called and said, "We're taking you to lunch in Malibu. Come on." And three of my very best friends took me to lunch to a really fun restaurant. And I will admit, we had a cocktail and we ate and we talked and we laughed and we cried and we hugged and we kissed our cheeks and held hands and took some pictures. And that meant so much to me. Your friends are precious and you must keep them. And if you're a friend of somebody, you need to be helpful during these times. And remember, everybody has been locked up, and there's so many people that don't have family around or a partner around or children around, and they're by themselves. This is a tough time coming up, the holidays. But before we get into the dynamics of celebrating during the holidays, I want to skip over to the wealthy part. When you're wealthy, it doesn't just mean abundance in money and the so-called finer things in life, money, jewels, big houses, big cars, lavish trips, lavish dinners. It can all be that if you can afford it, and it's wonderful. And we all appreciate that. But maybe you are a little short on your retirement fund now because number one, there's no interest being paid on any kind of money in a bank. CDs, everything has gone down. Some people's retirement accounts have gone down 30% if they're in the stock market or anything else like that that earns interest or looking to go up in prices. And then look at the young people mostly who have invested in crypto. What a fiasco that has turned out to be lately, and we'll see what's going to be done about that. I always urge you to talk to a financial expert before you do any of these things that I talk about, because I'm not telling you to go do them. I'm telling you to investigate them. This is part of becoming wise and wealthy. But as I say, it's not just abundance of money and the finer things in life. It's having a relationship with the friends, like I did with those three ladies who took me out. And the two ladies had talked to me on the phone constantly. One who has 4 children, one who is by herself now, sharing our thoughts and our problems, our sadness and our happiness. Sometimes we'd giggle on the phone, which was good. So there are other ways to have abundance in your life. If you're lucky enough to have a family and grandchildren and all, that is an abundance of wealth. Don't forget those things. Your health, which we also talk about, is part of that abundance and the wealth of your life. But today, I want to talk a little bit about side hustles and what you can do if you're still working. We call it a side hustle. We call it hustling around if we want to start a new career, or we just want to add a little bit to the retirement account that's sunk a little bit. So the first thing I want to talk is about affiliate marketing. That's right now high on my list of things to check out more deeply before diving into it, because I like to try out these different things. And affiliate marketing is on a lot on Facebook, which we women and men of a certain age tend to use Facebook more than we use other social media sites. I'm not talking about dating sites now. I'm talking about social media where you discuss your politics, your family, your entertainment, your jobs, your work, your dreams, your goals, your desires. That's what Facebook is supposed to be about. I would not ever recommend anybody our age or anybody in the United States to be on TikTok. And you can Google that and find out why. But Twitter is coming back, and that you have to be really fast with that because they limit the number of characters you can use. But different things like that. This is where affiliate marketing is coming in, and it's really booming, and it's booming for all ages and all sexes. And it's retired people of a certain age. It's young women that have been stay-at-home moms that want something to do to add to their husband's income or their partner's income or single mom income. And it's also for the 30 and 40-year-olds and even some of the 20-year-olds. It's amazing to me. I saw Bethany Frankel on one doing affiliate marketing the other day, and she's introducing a new show with Mr. Wonderful on the, I think it's on Fox Business. I can't remember which one it's on. Maybe it's Bravo. I don't know. It's wherever Shark Tank is, whichever network Shark Tank is on. This new show is coming out, and it's something about money in the courts, or courts and the money. What happens when something bad happens in your business? Anyway, it's premiering this week or next week. You know, as I say, I'm not big on remembering these television things, but look it up. Look up Bethany Frankel, if nothing else, and you'll see something about her new show. So she's pivoted her life quite a bit from when she started out baking chocolate chip cookies and driving them around Long Island and Brooklyn and other places when she was starting out, and then she got the New York Housewives gig. And I was fascinated with that because there's Beverly Hills. And at that time, I was living in Beverly Hills. And most of these women who got these parts on Beverly Hills Housewives and New York Housewives, they had jobs or they were married to very wealthy men. I was interested in the ones who had careers. So I watched them, and I watched Bethany start her alcohol company, her Skinny Girl cocktails and all of that. And it was fascinating to me. So she has gone from that to several other products that she sells online on a website. She has jumped into doing things on the internet. She had a television show, which I was privy to go sit in the audience. They chose me as one of the people to perhaps be on and asking her questions. And although I didn't make it to the final one asking me a question, they thought I was very funny. So that I appreciated that. And believe it or not, having been born in Hollywood, that was the very first television program I had ever gone to, except for one that my son took me to when he was the prop guy on the show. And that was fun, sitting in the audience and seeing that. So that was an interesting thing. And the reason I mentioned that is she has been on Shark Tank as one of the sharks recently. And then I saw her doing reels on Facebook comparing drugstore cosmetics to high-end cosmetics. So that was very interesting to me. Now I see that she's coming out with this Money in Courts show, which I think will be fascinating. I have no idea what it's all about, but it should be fascinating. And if you're into women pivoting in careers and all, by the way, she does have a daughter, so she has a lot on her plate, and she's been quite successful. So I urge you to watch that at least once, see if it's interesting to you, but kind of listen to her background and all. It's fascinating to me. So affiliate marketing is people who may have a collagen product right now, and collagen is very hot to prevent wrinkles and build bone, and you need collagen for strengthening your muscles and the muscles in your face and all sorts of things. So that is a very hot item that they are talking about now. And you can Google affiliate marketing and there'll be all sorts of programs. There's even affiliate marketing for Amazon products. So you can Google these places, you can go to the sites and you can look at them. And this seems to be the hottest thing now. You get paid when someone follows a link that you're in your social media post or an ad and makes a purchase. That's all I'm going to tell you because I'm not an affiliate marketer, but I'm going to explore it more. And when I do, I'll give you some more information on it. But when you're looking for affiliate marketing and you're looking for a side hustle, you have to think about, does the business fit your timeline? If you're trying to do this while you're still raising kids, you need to have the time when they're in school or you're not at the office or whatever else you're doing, raising money for charity, whatever, it's got to fit into your timeline. And you need to have the skill set to do things. So like, for instance, in affiliate marketing, you need to have a laptop or a computer, a desktop computer. A laptop would be better because you could move the camera around the room or wherever you're going to be in. You need a cell phone. Everybody has a smartphone. Don't tell me you don't. And by the way, you can buy, if you don't have a computer, you can buy refurbished laptops and computers, phones, and everything from Apple, but you can also buy them from other stores. Look for a computer store that sells those, or maybe you have a friend that wants to upgrade or something. So you can find that if you have a little bit of spare money, you can get these things that you need. So you need that. You need to make videos and you need to have this cell phone and you need to be trained. So you need to look at that and see exactly what you need to be doing affiliate marketing. You have to know how to use those things too. You need to practice doing videos. And don't forget, you have to look fairly decent, okay? Believe me, I think I look pretty good on here, but this isn't how I look every day. You have to put a little makeup on, make yourself look good. I know a lot of you have taken to working at home in your pajamas, and I'm guilty of that too, particularly after my son. So, you know, there is something about working at home. It's great. You can go fix yourself a cup of coffee, or you could take a quick walk. You could do all sorts of things. So check that out. Just Google affiliate marketing. Then I want you to know about drop shipping, and that's when you sign up with an online seller that has inventory, and they keep the inventory for you, and you shoot them the orders and you get a commission for that. And they send it out for you straight to the person looking. Do you know that the self-help coaching business is an $11 billion business now? Yes, indeedy it is. And by the way, I got that new number from Chris Cuomo. Remember him? He's the brother of the former governor of New York. He has a new hour show on Newsmax, I think it's called. News Nation, I think it is. So I saw that last night, and sometimes I get up and do weird things, and I did see that last night. So I thought that was interesting. Self-help. He says he's learned a lot. How to be kinder, particularly when you're discussing politics. You never know. A lot of people pivot and do these things. There are two other things I want to talk about. They take a little longer. You don't need much. You need a computer or a cell phone to become a blogger. You can be a blogger on just about anything. There's a lot of travel bloggers, and they travel around the world, and they get people to sponsor them, big sponsors sometimes. Some of them get cruise lines, some of them get airlines, or they might get travel cosmetics in different sizes. So you can make money doing that too. And then a lot of bloggers just ask you to please donate to keep the blog going. So there's all different ways to do this. And the one thing, of course, you could make money being a podcaster by getting sponsors. I'm sponsored by Basic Brands Inc. And I say that all the time. I'm sponsored. There it goes across the cryon right now. Sponsored by Basic Brands Inc. So that helps the sponsor, and that helps me have the wherewithal to be with a big studio and big distribution. There is the other thing that you can do, which is coaching. But you better be an expert at coaching, and you better think about taking some coaching classes yourself or being coached in whatever area you want to be in. Hot things now are health, of course, finances. So those are two very big areas. But you need to have something that video is the thing now. You need to have something that has a camera in it. And you can do it on your cell phone if you want, but it's better to do it on a computer. So that's all I have to tell you about today on our Get Wealthy and Wise. And I'm rustling my papers around here because I want to talk to you about the title of the show today, which was Happy Holidays. Happy Holidays. And how we are going to navigate the diversity of our country as well as the diversity of our families and friends. And I just want to mention three things that seem to be happening all at the same time for people who celebrate in different ways. One, of course, is the Christian Christmas. And so many of us are Christians, and we celebrate the birth of Christ and the whole Christmas story of how they traveled to Bethlehem and the baby in the manger. And so many of our traditional Christmas songs come from that period. And we've gathered our family together for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. The presents started out because that is signifying giving the gift to the baby Jesus, like the three wise men did. So most of you know the Christians also like to celebrate with a Christmas tree. A lot of these traditions started in Germany, and that's also where Martin Luther decided to break from the Catholic Church and become the Lutheran. But I'm not talking about all the different religions right now. That's just the Christian one where we gather together and celebrate the birth of Christ. But we also celebrate St. Nicholas. And St. Nicholas is like a patron saint of children. And he gives gifts to them. And all the little kids get very excited to open their eyes on Christmas morning and see what Santa has put under the Christmas tree. And then there is Hanukkah. And many of my friends are Jewish, and they celebrate Hanukkah, and it comes at a different time every year, but basically around the same time. And I don't know much about it because I have never celebrated it, but I do know that they celebrate with 8 nights starting on the 25th day of Kislev, according to the Hebrew calendar. Thus, excuse me while I look at my notes, that is why they change it for different days. It can occur anytime from late November to late December on the Gregorian calendar. So what they do is they have a candelabra, which is called a menorah. One branch is typically placed above and below the others, and they light one of the candles each night, And they have certain things that they do. They have certain rituals. They have certain songs, certain prayers. And they play the game of dreidel, where you could buy these little tops and they spin, and they're wonderful. So they do that. That's called the final festival is Hanukkah. And many of the people who are Jewish do celebrate with a Christmas tree, because Christmas trees are fun and Santa Claus can come. So that's fun. But we want to remember that Hanukkah is a religious and sacred holiday for them. It commemorates the recovery of Jerusalem and the rededication of the Second Temple at the beginning of the Maccabean revolt against the Seleucid Empire in the 2nd century. So that is Hanukkah, and if anybody wants to correct me, I would be more than happy to learn more about Hanukkah. Now, I have heard a lot about, I better watch my clock here. I've heard a lot about Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa, I thought, was from Africa for the Black nations, the Black people, that they celebrated with the African Americans. But when I was doing my research, I discovered that it's an African American culture holiday or celebration from December 26th to January 1st, culminating in a communal feast called Karamu, usually on the 6th day. And what I didn't know, it was created by activist Maulana Karenga, based on African Harvest Festival traditions from various parts of West and Southeast Africa. The very first time it was celebrated was in 1966. And that's when we were all trying to, well, not everybody, but so many of us were trying to fight for civil rights for our brothers and sisters. So Kwanzaa, he started it because it gives Blacks an alternative to the existing holiday of Christmas. And it gives Blacks an opportunity to celebrate themselves and their history rather than simply imitate the practice of the dominant society. For Karenga, a major figure in the Black Power movement of the 60s and 70s, the creation of such holidays also underscored, today I'm having a problem with my tongue, also underscored the essential premise that you must have a cultural revolution before the violent revolution. The cultural revolution gives identity, purpose, and direction. So that has become quite a large holiday for people celebrating that. And I just wanted to put that in there. Of course, during the year, there are many other celebrations and religious holidays during the year that we should all learn more about, because we are such a diversified country and we're proud to be that with all of our people coming in. But when I said diversity of the holidays and the country, excuse the rattling of my papers. I can't help it. I needed notes today. I am talking about the holidays and bringing emotions to people. Sometimes the holidays can be very happy. I can remember the last holiday that we had as a family. My second grandchild of my daughter's was not even a twinkle in the eye. And we all gathered at our house. Grandma and Grandma Mama and Grandpa Papa were still doing the Christmas dinner. And we would have everybody contribute their little dish when they wanted to. But otherwise, we did the cooking of the turkey. And we used to do prime rib, turkey and prime rib. We had so many people come to Christmas. And we would open presents. But over the years, we decided, really, Christmas is for the children, the religious part of it, but the children too. So we would draw names. And then we got to the point where oh my goodness, we are so blessed. We have so many things. Let's just cut out the adults altogether. So that's how we ended up kind of cutting out the adults in the end. And eventually we transitioned over to my son's house. But when you combine families, that means you get part family from whomever is doing it, the grandmama and grandpa papa's families, the wife and husband, the mother and father of the children and their grandparents from both sides, the mother-in-laws from both sides. And it gets a little heated sometimes. You might not want to discuss politics because a lot of people feel totally differently. And actually, my kids, my grown kids, feel differently than I do. So there's nothing wrong with that. That's what makes us a free country, freedom of speech. But I think there's a place for that, and I don't think it's at Christmas. Excuse me. So there are also people who have no one at home and they're by themselves. And we used to, years ago, I'm talking about, we would have a cocktail party on Christmas Eve and invite everybody over for Christmas cheer and different appetizers and things like that. And it just grew and grew and grew. And my kids had some friends over and all. But also during the week prior to Christmas, we would do a children's tea where the children invited all of their friends from school and different football teams, soccer teams, gymnastic teams, whatever they had, the kids in the neighborhood, and their parents. And we would have a big Christmas tea. And that was always really a wonderful time. But as everybody grew up, they didn't have the same friends, and they had different friends, and the parents had different friends. And it got to be so big with the children of the parents, us. It was growing bigger and bigger and bigger. And then we started celebrating maybe breakfast with my son and his family. And we had a special dish that we would always do. And then we would have dinner with somebody else. And now that my daughter lives a long drive away on holidays, an hour and a half, 2 hours, you get in all the traffic doing that. We decided to do it on a different day. We would stay home and celebrate with our family and maybe a friend that didn't have anybody at home. And then we would do it before or after Christmas. That also happens when you have a daughter who's been in nursing for so many years. And sometimes you take the turn. Last year or the year before, I know my daughter took the turn to work again on Christmas because her compatriots in the nursing department were now having babies, and she thought it was her turn to let them be at home with the tiny ones that were really toddling around and looking for the Christmas tree. So I think you should keep your regular routine, but you might want to add and back off of some of the traditions that you had and incorporate new traditions from the new father's family and the mother's brother and sister and everybody coming along. And there's nothing wrong with that. And remember, there's nothing ideal about a holiday. There's a lot of sadness in my family now that we don't have my son Matt there. So, the kids are sad. My daughter's sad. Her husband's sad. My husband and I are sad. It's hard. So it's okay to give a toast or mention the person you're missing so much. But remember, you have to be happy too, because that's what they would want you to be. It's a difficult time in the holidays for many, many people. This year, I want you to don't be overwhelmed. I don't want you to spend a lot of money. I want you to think about different things you could do to make everybody have a Merry Christmas. Maybe you don't contribute to Christmas dinner, Christmas Eve dinner anymore. All of my Mexican friends, people from Latin countries, celebrate Christmas Eve rather than Christmas Day. So you need to be careful about that too, and not interfere with those kinds of plans that have been traditions in their families. I think you could bring a dish this year to Christmas to help with the expense of the rising food cost. I think that would be well received. You can do anything from a vegetable to a dessert. You could bring a bottle of wine, a 6-pack of beer, a 6-pack of mineral water, a 6-pack of sparkling apple cider for the kids. You could do any of that. And I think this might be the year to cut back on so many things under the Christmas tree. Maybe this is the year that you want to try drawing somebody's name from a bag of everybody putting their name in and do something like that. Or you could offer to, gosh, I'll babysit your kids so you and your husband can go out and get a hot dog or a hamburger, catch a movie, whatever. You could do all sorts of things. But what I want you to do is be kind to everybody, because it is hard on some people. The joy that was once there is not as big as the joy that was before when everyone was there attending. So be very cautious. And if you want to be alone on Christmas, you shouldn't feel guilty about it, and tell the people that you love that you just prefer this year to stay alone. And that's what you do. Take a walk and remember the person you're missing. Stay at home. Lift a glass of sparkling apple cider or a glass of champagne to the person you're missing. And you can't put pressure on yourself to be the happiest, merriest around, because it just doesn't happen. But if you want to be alone, you can. And if you don't want to be alone, call one of your girlfriends, one of your boyfriends, some colleague at the office that you know doesn't have anybody around, and ask for help to put this on this year. This is a difficult year for everybody with inflation and the recession and people losing jobs. And it's people losing jobs in tech and Pepsi and companies moving out of California. Be kind to yourself and think about what the holidays are for, which is celebrating the birth of Christ. And I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. And we'll talk about Happy New Year next week when you come back. And we'll have more health tips that week too, because this is the time you're supposed to be planning and mapping out your new year for 2023. Boy, oh boy, I'm so happy I'm here to see 2023, because it's going to be a much better year than 2021 and 2022. So you make it that way. And while you're mapping out your life for the coming year, remember, cherish yesterday, dream tomorrow, and live today.